At their host tournament, Russian national team nearly reached the infinity and gifted us with a great party. In these moments, British commentators usually say unbelievable, fucking hell, but what else will we always remember about this World Cup? For those of you who want to make the most out of the rest of the tournament, it's already time to get nostalgic. This is the top 10 best World Cup memories. Let's start with Cherchesov, because it all began with us trolling our coach. Within the last 3 weeks, Stanislav truly took off, from the sewerage to a penthouse. How much rubbish had been dumped on him and his team prior to the start of the tournament. There wasn't a single media, blogger or stand-up comedian who hasn't joined in on the hate and the hype. However, for every action there is a reaction, so the Mustache of Hope happened. We bet that at least one of your mates has joined in. But then the tournament really started. First Cherchesov salutes Zuba, then Zuba repays him in the same manner. Let's admit, we all love football for the moments like this. The 9th place and the fans that have fallen in love with Russia. Everyone who came down to watch their team were absolutely delighted. Low prices, great atmosphere, beautiful girls, and the absolute freedom. If that doesn't make you euphoric, what else does? Right. Free train rides. At nearly every World Cup game people were chanting Russia, Russia, but the most memorable fans were definitely the Swedish. Just have a listen.
Russia, Impossibe, Russia, Impossibe.
And what about the Icelanders that shot a video as a thank you to the host country?
Kalinka, kalinka, kalinka moja, zaduja malinka, malinka moja, kalinka, kalinka, kalinka moja, zaduja malinka, malinka moja.
From Russia with love, just like a James Bond movie.
Kazan офигенно, Kazan офигенно. Владимир Владимирович, братан на души. Подарите мне, пожалуйста, гражданство. Я люблю Россию. Vamos lá, vai Rússia, vamos, давай.
The 8th place and new tech. The VAR system was tested last year at the Confederations Cup, but only now it has truly started to work. Throughout the tournament, referees indeed used the system, and in many cases it changed the course of the game. If you think about it, there are a few things that make it really cool. Firstly, the outcome becomes fairer. Secondly, after using the VAR, there's much more stoppage time being added, which makes it for a more entertaining game. And finally, even after watching the replay, there'll always be disagreements on the decision. Remember the penalty in the game Portugal vs Spain after Ronaldo's dive? Or even in one of the most memorable games of the whole group stage, the Battle of Iran vs Portugal, when ref gave a penalty to one side, then booked Cristiano, and then awarded a penalty kick to the other team, all thanks to VAR. The 7th spot and the failing of the superstars. If the Portuguese were literally one step away from not making it out of the group in a game versus Iran, there were still teams that have completely screwed up in the group stage. Of course, we'll first talk about Germany. Yes, we all know about the World Cup champions curse, but you have to agree that no one would think this would happen even a year ago when they won the Confederation Cup with their 3rd squad. But in the end, it was a complete disaster. Argentina and Poland were not great either. At least Messi's team made it out of the group, where they played one of the most epic games of the whole World Cup. As for the Polish, we never really noticed them coming. The 6th place, the music. So many tracks to remember at this World Cup. Robbie Williams with his greatest hits at the opening ceremony, Russian comedian Slepakov first shaming the national team and then changing his mind by making another banger 2 weeks into the World Cup, the official World Cup song that never made it to the top of the chart, and the immortal Seven Nation Army taking the roof of the stadiums before each game. Russian pop singer Buzova was in the spotlight as well. The link for our very own remake of one of her other songs will be in the description. The fans were unbelievable as well. Argentinians, for example, arrived at the World Cup with a song specially written for this occasion. And so many things that you missed. For example, the lady from Saransk, despite her neighbor's huge accommodation pricing, hosted the guests from Iran and Peru for free. Or this Colombian, teaching us the lesson how to sneak in alcohol into the stadium. Or even the Japanese that will clean up the mess left behind after each one of their games. Also, Leo Messi celebrated his birthday in a small town of Bronici, in the Moscow region, where they baked a full-size Messi birthday cake for him. And surely it wouldn't be a World Cup without romance. This local guy from Tomsk got engaged to a Colombian. Aren't they cute? And a former reporter for the Russian TV show Football Club did it just before the decisive penalty in a game between Russia versus Spain. I mean, this is just crazy stuff. As a small addition, let's appreciate this policeman's sense of humor for not making a big deal out of this awkward joke by a Mexican fan. The fourth place in the decline of both Messi and Ronaldo. These are probably the most talked about heartbreaks of this tournament. Missing the penalty for both of the stars made them that close to not making it through the group stage. If that was to happen, it would be quite symbolic, the main antagonists living at the same day. And it's also quite symbolic that at the same time there's new stars being born. Mbappe looks faster than Ronaldo in his best years, and Griezmann is finally shaped as an exquisite player. So yes, it looks like the end of the epoch, it really does. But let's not be sad now and contemplate the rest of this great story after the World Cup is done. Third spot, Russian national team and the fans together as one. You have to agree that before the game against Saudi, each one of you had second thoughts about us not making it out of the group. But the first two games left all of those fears behind. Oh my god, that was truly unforgettable. Forget about the class of the opponent and ignore all the analytics bullshit. The national team was surprising us again and again, and we nearly forgot how is it to celebrate sincerely, so we had to learn over. Second place and the main star of the tournament, and it's not Ronaldo and Messi. This guy has retired a long time ago but is still up for a party. Legendary Maradona literally became a meme and triggered heated discussions in the social media more than anyone else in this World Cup. He reached the peak of his greatness at the Argentina versus Nigeria game. First he was waving a flag of himself, then he danced with a Nigerian, had a nap, but still made it to celebrate his success's goal, and then after the second goal gave us all the middle finger. In the end of that game he even had to ask for medical assistance, so Diego is literally still a walking adult cartoon character. Talking about the finger, Robbie Williams was first at that. He did it at the opening ceremony, I mean what a spectacle. Overall the legendary number 10 is a reason to be sad that Argentina is out. Imagine how much more we would have seen from Diego. The first place and Nikolskaya Street. If you live in Moscow, then you've definitely been there during the World Cup. If not, then you watch lots of videos of fans lighting it up all day long. Absolutely spontaneously, Nikolskaya became the main street of the tournament for the whole month. Fans met up there, took pictures, chanted, celebrated, cried, laughed, shouted, slept and fallen in love, all in the same pedestrian zone in Moscow. Surprisingly, it wasn't inside of the stadiums or the fan fest where the main and the most memorable things happened. It all happened right there on Nikolskaya. You had to come there the 16th of June and even be sad, cause once it's done, it's done.